Do you agree with pandemic restrictions in your province?
We were just talking about that, and yeah, we believe anyway, that Legault did a really outstanding job at closing things down and keeping us safe and reopening things slowly, and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been effective. You know, if you compare the numbers, what Quebec was experiencing compared to what's going on in some other provinces, I think it was well handled.
Yes, except for the curfew that I think has affected folk in not the best of ways.
Yeah, to a certain part. I think that Ontario doesn't have a curfew, and I'm from Toronto, and our statistics have been really, really bad lately. So in a lot of ways, curfew has helped with taking down the numbers of people getting COVID.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, mostly. I don't fully agree with the curfew. I don't think it's logical, but the rest, most of it, yeah.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with non-essential businesses being closed. The curfew was a good idea. I think it maybe shouldn't have been lifted as soon as it was. I think reopening too soon is always a bad idea, as we've seen a couple of times already. So, we should definitely be cautious about reopening.
Yes, I do. Oh, because it had, I believe it had a strong effect on the pandemic itself, and it lowered the rate of infection for sure for me. Yeah.
Some of them, not all of them. I've kind of been enjoying the curfew, but it's because I have a dog, so it doesn't affect me as badly. But the park's been getting really out of hand, and it almost looks like Osheaga every weekend. There's people peeing everywhere. There's huge crowds. There's a lot of littering. So I kind of liked the curfew for limiting that. But it's hard too, because I have to cut my hours in half for work just because of the curfew.
I guess it's nuanced. On some parts, yes. On some parts, no. They've all impacted people differently, and I think that they can't be perfect, though. So, yeah, that's the best answer I can give you about that.
I think it was a good way to try to get less of it. We had to go into a collectivity, and they had to take some measures. And when I compare it to other countries, I feel like they've done a pretty good deal of the restrictions were good. We were not too restricted, so it was fine.
I do, to an extent. I do think the small businesses are suffering, and more of the big box companies are still receiving, if not more, people that would be going to small businesses that can't anymore. So I do, to an extent. I do just feel bad for the small businesses at the same time.
Yes, I do. I think all the restrictions and the measures that they've taken have been good for everybody's health. I support those in charge making very hard decisions right now. So I think the restrictions are good, and they might not be easy, but it's the right thing.
I know it's not easy, especially the small businesses that are being affected with it, but I think that's the only way that to control and to eliminate this kind of this pandemic.
I live in Nova Scotia, and I think they've done a pretty good job on controlling the pandemic, and I have no problem with the restrictions, and I adhere to them.
I think that our lockdowns maybe were a little bit too long, and things if they could have rolled out a little bit slower but a little bit sooner, so it was a little bit more gradual opening things, could have made people a little bit happier as well during the pandemic. I think that could have helped.
Yeah, I think it's great how they're shutting everything down, just trying to keep it as condensed as possible. I think it's been really great how they've been doing that and trying to keep it as in the bubble as possible and all of that.
I do like the restrictions. I am a little concerned for the small businesses, as I work in a small business. We're really struggling. So if there was a little more funding for them, because I do feel like we're better off being closed down to kind of nip it in the bud. I just wish there was a little more help for us as well.
I think Nova Scotia has by and large been very logical with the decisions. I know that we've got a lot of small businesses that are hurting right now, and we're doing our best to support them as we can. We're all eager for them to be lifted because we all want to get back to normal. but I have by and large supported what we've done to stay safe and to protect each other.
I do agree with the pandemic restrictions in the province. I mean, we're experiencing our third wave, but I think the province's response in the past has kind of mitigated the spread of the virus, and we're just waiting to see that kind of happen a third time.
I think every province has a different approach, and I think it's kind of a new thing for everywhere. Everywhere is just trying to navigate in their best way. It's not something that we've experienced before, so I think our government has our best interests at heart in trying to keep things under control and keep us safe.
You know, it's not convenient to everyone, but it's essential, and it's keeping as many people safe as possible.
I do. I am local, very local, only about a kilometer away from here, and we've stayed to our 2-3 kilometers for walking, and I believe the restrictions are there to protect the public health of everyone, and I have no trouble having a bit of more patience. It's been a long time. I mean, a lot of us have not seen our families for a year and a half, and our children even, and our elderly parents, but I think the restriction will make it that in the long end and the long time we'll all be able to be safely together again.